Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L here to do an anime hobby video. It's pretty much an anime video. It's been such a long week for me, guys. I just need time to decompress. I figured let's do it with some anime news. So, I hope everyone's doing well. Let's just get right into the video. I'll start this off by saying, I've been recently watching Blue Lock. I never thought I was a sports anime kind of guy, but yeah, here we are. I actually really enjoy it. I do think he spends a lot of time in his head. I do think he freaks out over everything. I feel like sometimes he's discovering things that, it's akin to living in a society that has cars and rediscovering the wheel, but it's cool to see how he comes to these very, I think, basic interpretations. I mean, at some point I feel that he's going to discover that playing as a team is effective. But yeah, no, Blue Lock, I really enjoy it. I've just started season 2. It's the U19. I'm very excited. I have not read the manga. Anyway, that's a little bit what's going on with me. I do plan on talking about one of the Shonen Jump mangas later on in another video for a quick review. But in terms of news, what do we got this week? Or rather, what do we got that I looked up? Well, Random, a wonderful commenter, did link me to a bunch of stuff about Gundam. I'm reading this off of Anime Hunch. So pretty much we're getting a Mobile Suit Gundam series. It's not going to be going to Netflix. I believe this one is going to... I think they are saying it's going to go to theaters. It's pretty interesting, man. What information do we got on it? It's being worked on by someone who's worked on Netflix's Sweet Tooth. Jim Mickle, directed and written by them. Worldwide theatrical release. And then to support the production of Gundam and further expand the franchise overseas, Bandai is going to establish a North American subsidiary, Bandai Namco Filmworks. They're going to be operating under Bandai Namco Holdings US. Yeah, no, we don't really have too much more beyond that. We do have this one shot of the poster, I guess. Is there any more information here? Not really. It's still pretty early days. So with regard to this, it's exciting. Of course, you have to kind of wonder, well, would a Gundam movie really work? And the thing is, I feel like the Gundam narrative needs time to breathe. I feel like a 1 hour and 30-minute movie about the development of a robot and the fighting of a robot, and I feel like if we're doing a kid falls into the cockpit of a Gundam and becomes a Gundam pilot. If we do that traditional way of going about Gundam, I just think it's too slow for a film. Now, I don't know if anyone's watched Requiem. Gundam Requiem for Vengeance. I believe it's the one where it's the perspective of the Zeon soldiers. I think a traditional 3-act structure wouldn't really work for Gundam unless we're doing a very long movie to properly establish the weight of what's going on. Because at the end of the day, Gundam is about the horrors of war. But I feel like if we're doing a kind of kaiju movie, I feel if you have a situation like Requiem, where you have the Gundam in the background, and you focus more on the human drama, I actually think you probably could create a really good Gundam movie in the sense that you would actually be creating more something that's a character study, something more about the horrors of war again. I think even in that case, it kind of would stand... It would stand as... Well, it would be a standalone movie. You really wouldn't need to... It really wouldn't need to be called Gundam. But overall, the thematics of it would be appropriate. I think Gundam Diehards would admit the soul of the movie is appropriate. Alright, I got my co-pilot with me. Anyway, yeah, it's interesting. I really think that the biggest struggle against Gundam, I don't think it's budgets, I don't think it's money. I think the issue is making a narrative that works as a movie, as standalone, and not having the basic 3-act structure that just makes the movie too shallow. Gundam is a deep series, right? At the end of the day, at the end of the day, a lot of the Gundam properties are tracking really long wars. So I feel like you can't go. I feel like you can't go standard. I think you have to just go into something where the audience is just going through the motions of a war, and then again making it a war story. I think that would probably be the best way to go about it. So that's one little bit of news. Let's go into the next thing that I brought up. Alright guys, the next story I got lined up for you here is this whole thing about Shueisha and targeting Manganado and Mangakalot. I'm not gonna say I use Mangakalot, but... Alright, Mangakalot and 4 others. So, and this is coming from CBR. So according to legal documents filed on February 4th, Shueisha has filed a subpoena request against the popular Cloudflare, and they're trying to find information regarding operators of 6 manga piracy websites. Many among them, the most popular names. All sites listed in the subpoena request relate to infringements of One Piece. Currently, the biggest among the sites is Chat Manga Nato, with a massive 65.2 million monthly visits in December. Okay, I'm just gonna say I don't really know this one. Never heard of it before, but cool to know. Cool to know. Now, if you guys don't follow One Piece, you might be wondering why is One Piece at the center of this. It's because the One Piece spoiler community is ridiculously powerful, or not powerful, effective. Like One Piece spoilers, we know that someone has their hands on it as early as Monday nights in the West. And then the hints start coming out. By Tuesday we have a summary of leaks. By Wednesday we have the pictures, right? And that's all ahead of Sunday. So the reason why it's One Piece is probably because of how quickly that thing hits the website. So I think we have this thing here. Anyway, we got some other statistics. Mangaka gets 20.4 million, Manganello 18.1. We got some small ones. Anyway, Shueisha, upon the belief that Cloudflare only provides identifying information under force of a court order, is seeking the last known addresses, telephone numbers, email addresses, billing information, blah 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 blah, for all these people. That's pretty scary. If you're them, because that said, I would assume that these guys did things to hide their identity a bit. I don't know how they probably could go about doing that, since I'm not involved in that kind of stuff. But this is a bigger conversation about piracy, right? Like, do we need One Piece to be coming out so early? Not really. You don't need these things to come out early. Does it build hype in the community? Yeah, but like, does hype actually make any big difference to the bottom line of the companies? I'm not too sure. At the end of the day, like, you can still read it for free on Viz when it does come out. I do know that Viz does not let you look at their archives unless you're paying for the service. But I think we have a nice medium right now. And for the manga that come out on digital, you know, I don't think anything has really gone wrong in having them there and not having the actual physical releases out in the wild early. Now, since we're talking about copyright, I figure let's talk more about copyright. Let's talk about other little things that have been happening. And this is coming from Sandman. Love Sandman. Always love seeing whatever they read about One Piece. So we had an unauthorized English translator of Shonen Jump fined over $3,000. A guy in Tokyo has been convicted for unauthorized translation of manga in Shonen Jump. He translated manga from Japanese to English without permission, distributed it globally before official release. The incident may impact future spoiler summaries of One Piece. Now, that happened in January 29th. We are now at February 6th. And let me tell you, I don't think it impacted anything about the One Piece spoilers and the speed at which they come out. When it comes to leaking and all that kind of stuff, we know, like, this is a hard fight to win. You take out one leaker and like 5 others will come in its place. Now for this one, I'm just going to bring up an older story here, just because I think it could be funny. And I think it is very interesting when you bring it into the context of the whole copyright situation. So this was a manga creator responding to a fan, and the fan pretty much went, "Hello sir, I want you to understand, I want to ask you something about your manga. I understand you because you put a lot of effort in it, but what if some editorials in another country don't get the rights to public manga and I want to read it? Is it a bad thing to enjoy your manga that way?" Pretty much they're asking, my country doesn't get this manga, it's never going to be sold here, can I read your manga? To which the creator replied, "Don't read it, are you stupid?" So look, man, alright, for those that don't know, I'm Cuban. I don't like a lot of things, I don't expect to get it in Cuba. And I like, when it comes to these kind of situations where, like, also I'll speak from the perspective of someone that sells books online. I know that there are pirated copies of my books out on the internet. I know that my competitors and my rivals all have pirated copies of their books out on the internet. Now, from our perspective, it sucks because sometimes people are really stupid. There's things that happen. Like if you're on novel sharing websites, people will just copy what you have and they will make a book out of it and put it on Amazon before you put it on Amazon. And that sucks because when we start going in to put it on Amazon, Amazon dings us and calls us the thief, when that wasn't the case. Now there's ways to get around this and there's ways to negotiate with Amazon or like explain to Amazon what's going on, but it's always very stressful. The reverse, or like the other thing that happens is that if, like for right now, I have to publish an update to one of my books. This kind of sucks because the last time I published an update to one of my books because I was fixing typos, Amazon dinged it because they had to make sure that I was a copyright owner, even though I was the one who first put it out. I have my records. They know that the book was selling under me for 3 years. But because of the way Amazon works, it flags on every check of a newly updated thing. So when it comes to indie publishing, the copyright issue is a little bit different because people putting it up on the internet will make Amazon think like, yo, do you actually own the original copy? And it's like, yes, bro, come on, I've been with you for 3 years, 100% I own the original copy. But, you know, aside from that, if there was someone in Cuba who had gotten an illegal copy of the book and they were reading it, am I going to be bothered? Not really. That's also being a poor kid in the Caribbean. I didn't have money to spend on manga and all that kind of stuff. So my opinion on it, it's a little bit different. I do think nowadays we have more accessibility for these type of things, such that you don't have to pirate. And honestly, with what I read about the upcoming generations, I don't think they really know how to use the internet all that well. So I think the piracy problem, like at the end of the day, you're going to end up with, well, in other areas, you're going to end up with pirates who are really small section of the population. And it's going to be to the point where, like, if you're going through the effort to pirate, to some degree, maybe you've kind of earned it. And I say that kind of facetiously, but it's just to kind of express how difficult I think pirating will become. Anyway, coming back to this, if you're in a situation where you don't have these manga accessible, I know it's immoral to say it, but if someone goes out of their way to read it for free, when it comes to my books, I don't really care, because I understand that to some degree piracy increases visibility. I don't care until it starts affecting me and my relationship with Amazon. If it's someone who's in a different country who has no access to it, I'm not gonna, like Matias Emmanuel, I'm not gonna begrudge this poor guy who just wants to read it, has no other option. Of course, you know, being able to support the author, I think, is always a good thing. I think if you're able to support the author some other way, I think that'll be fine, it'll equal out. I know, it's very pragmatic, but look, the world we live in is unfair. Anyway, just very quickly to just show more response about this. Generally, if a work hasn't been published in a certain country or language, the author can translate it and read it without financial loss, so there's no reason for the author to prohibit it. People are just reading whatever is available somehow. I think the idea that something is just not allowed because the author has prohibited it is an extremely naive notion that doesn't work outside of Japan. And the response was, nice to meet you, my name is Sako, you're saying some pretty shocking things. Do you know about copyright? It seems you don't really understand what I'm talking about. Illegal copying is illegal, you're the one promoting it. Is that okay? So on the other hand, I understand like the creators being defensive of their work and protecting it that way, because, you know, being soft on this kind of thing, I understand that from a professional perspective, you probably don't want to be soft on it because it just prevents other problems from cropping up later. It is better to take a hardline stance on it as a creator, I think, especially when you're involved with bigger corporations. Better take a hardline stance on it and limit the amount of people that would even try to copyright. But like, honestly, if you're in a country that is not going to be getting these things, like, this kind of stuff won't really impact you. Like, you've got other problems if you're at that situation, right? Anyway, overall, when it comes to the leaking and the copyright situation, it's very interesting. I'm really curious about how the future is going to be when it comes to this kind of stuff. I think manga is going to become more accessible, and the more accessible it becomes, it'll be easier for everyone to have access to every story. Now, mind you, there's always going to be really obscure manga that just I don't think are ever going to come out into the West unless you have pirates giving it exposure. And at that point, you know, I think on the companies, they have to allow avenues for people to support the series more, even if you can't get the manga going, even if just getting merchandise or like any other kind of channel to get money back to the creator, I think is probably going to be the best option for everyone. But really interesting. I really wanted to point out this one just because it was cool to see a manga author talking about it. I do think they are a little bit way too rude for it. I think I'd be a bit more political. I think maybe I would not be that political if there are people actually affecting my standing with Amazon because of the way that they're sharing the works. But yeah, I would also be much more political about it if I had a publisher that was backing me. So I can't really disrespect the publisher. So I'd be very careful of that. Anyway, with the original problem of the manga piracy, I'm interested. I'm interested to see if Shonen Jump can actually take down all these big websites. Okay, guys. So I want to give you one last interesting story. It's not really anime connected. I mean, I think this article by Anime Galaxy, they did their best to connect it to anime, but It's interesting. A recent scandal involving Fuji Television Network, one of Japan's largest broadcasters and longtime hope of popular anime like One Piece and Dragon Ball, raised concerns, with speculation mounting that the controversy could disrupt the future broadcast of these series. Fuji TV recently came under scrutiny for allegedly selling out its female staff like sex workers to powerful individuals at private parties. Bruh. Like... We know this happens, but whenever like people are actively writing about it, it's like, yeah, wow. One of those involved ex-SMAP member Nakai Masahiro. I had to Google this. It was just a guy. The news already is like breaking out. I have a more legitimate news source also talking about it. Give me a second. Let me pull it up for you guys. So the BBC was also covering it. So one of the magazines reported that in June 2023, a Fuji TV employee arranged for female TV personalities to entertain Nakai and other celebrities at a hotel. However, the gathering ultimately led to only Nakai and an unnamed female victim being present, resulting in non-consensual sexual activity and 90 million yen, or a 577,000 out-of-court settlement. Fuji TV had a press conference on a Nakai Masahiro scandal to recover from its disastrous one earlier this month. The grueling event, open to all journalists, ran until 2 a.m., lasting over 10 hours. It didn't appear to change advertisers' minds one bit. It pretty much led to advertisers pulling. This article goes on to say that some of their most popular shows that were cultural staples were left without advertising. Anyway, coming over to the BBC one. He announced his retirement from show business, Nakai, the guy that's involved in all this, and the Japanese government called on Fuji TV to regain trust from viewers and sponsors. I think we also have resignations. Yeah, the chairman and the president of Fuji TV, one of the biggest networks, he resigned in the wake of the sexual misconduct. Okay, Nakai had also admitted that the company had known about the allegation against Nagai shortly after the alleged incident took place, but Fuji TV chose not to disclose at the time, as it prioritized the woman's physical and mental recovery as well as the protection of her privacy. Anyway, as you understand, wild! It's a wild time! Fuji TV is now completely adless with programming filled with unpaid public service announcements per the latest New York Times reporting. The top executives have resigned. They continue to deny involvement in the Nakai scandal. So the angle here is that this is One Piece and Dragon Ball's primary broadcasters, so that's how the anime news kind of like factors into it. If the TV station is having a period where its stability is being questioned, that might ultimately affect the broadcasting of all these other programs. Heck, who knows what Shueisha can do? Maybe they have some more weight that they can throw around here. But yeah, what an interesting situation. Now I won't lie to you guys. Like this first part at the top, where it was talking about selling out its female staff like sex workers to powerful individuals at private parties. I thought there were going to be more situations, but we only really know about one. I think if there have been more situations, that's incredibly wild. Like, holy shit, I want to hear more about that. I hope that more information comes out. Because right now, just with the one, there has to be more, right? Like, this is the one that got caught out. And if they're able to just go and settle out of court so quickly like that, you know, that speaks to me like someone that's got practice at this. Allegedly, it speaks to me like someone that's got practice at this. I'm very interested to see what continues happening here. I can't imagine One Piece being severely affected by this, but it's cool to see how seriously they're taking it. It's cool that there was a press conference lasting over 10 hours. I hope that if there was more stuff that happened, I hope more of it comes out, because, you know, just the thing that you're saying that they are allegedly selling out as female staff like sex workers to powerful individuals, if they're like making a habit out of that, I think we should know, like, geez, that's gonna inspire so many new manga about working in the anime industry. Anyway, guys, that's the news I got for you today. Nothing else here really worth talking about. We'll keep an eye on this one to see if anything else blows up here. But already with the president resigning, I think that's a pretty mighty statement right there. Guys, let me know what you thought down below. Let me know if you got any other news that you think would be cool to share. And till next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day. Coco, do you want to say bye? Okay. No, he doesn't.